Let's talk about defensive tackles. LSU last year at this time, if you looked at their defensive tackle depth chart, you would go, this is a problem. And then in week 2, Jacobian Guillory got hurt, and it was a real problem. Now, they played admirably. But Gio Paez was kind of supposed to play on the end. He had to kick down a tackle. And you had to play Ahmad Breaux immediately as a true freshman who was really an end when you signed him and gained 30 pounds and had to play in there as a freshman. And then McKinley got hurt and he couldn't play to start the season. And you had to kick Shand down there. And it was a bit of a mess in terms of the numbers. They played at, it wasn't a complete liability on the team, but it was not anywhere close to a strength. And it just was not anywhere close to what is a championship level of defensive front. They feel like they have addressed that to an extent. Gio Paez moves on for graduation. JVR Suggs transferred to Wisconsin. Kimo Macanioli, who was offense and defense. He's out. He's at West Virginia. Jalen Lee transferred to UNLV. Demarion Johnson transferred to Southern. And then you brought in some new guys to add to Jacobian Guillory, Ahmad Breaux, Dominick McKinley, and Sean Washington, who's still here. You got Sadir Mitchell from Texas. Big boy, 6'6", 355. Big boy would be pretty underselling it. Bernard Gooden comes in from South Florida. He's more of an undersized, 6'1", 268, but very, very quick and active. And then you bring in 3 freshmen. Walter Mathis and Brandon Brown are in the 6'2", 290 range. And then Zion Williams comes in at 6'4", 360 pounds as the heaviest player on the roster. So you've got numbers. That's a total of 9 guys that you bring in that you feel like can play. I feel like the rotation is probably 6 deep, and I feel like it looks okay at 6 deep. I think that Jacobian Guillory and Sadir Mitchell are your big, physical, imposing forces at the nose. They are guys who are going to eat space. Guillory's 6'2", 318. Mitchell's 6'6", 355. These are strong dudes that are hard to move out of the way. Jacobian Guillory had a great camp last year. He was very noticeable in drills with the defensive line. He's the biggest and the strongest. He's never been a massively impactful guy. You're talking about a guy who's been here now for 5 years, and he's played 41 games and has 2 tackles for loss and half a sack. He's not a massively impactful guy. But there's a role there for him, and it's, hey, I'm coming downhill, and I'm going to make things a little bit difficult on your guard. And the same thing goes for Sadir Mitchell. He got some really positive reviews in the spring. And I didn't necessarily see a lot of that in the 11-on-11. We don't see a ton of that anyway. So if you told me Mitchell was a starter on this team and was a big presence in the middle of the defensive front, I would believe that. If you told me he got beat out by a couple of guys and was more like the 5th option, I might believe that too. I think it's something because he was at Texas for 2 years and didn't really play. I had the stats. He logged action in 4 games in 2023 and 5 in 2024. So he's not even an every week guy for Texas for 2 years. Now I know they put some guys into the draft, but it feels unlikely to me that he's blossomed into some sort of all-conference level player. Certainly possible. Happens for guys all the time. But it would be a big transition from what he was at Texas. But I think those 2 guys are the big space eaters. Then you've got the guys who might be playmakers for you. Ahmad Breaux fits that profile. He's got an incredible motor. Kyle Williams has known him for a long time and coaching him at Ruston. He caught the coach's eyes as a freshman last year, having put on some weight and kind of learning a new position inside as opposed to more on the edge. But he's quick and he plays really hard and he can get into the backfield. And Bernard Gooden has been that dude really for over a year at South Florida. He made 10.5 plays in the backfield for South Florida last year, and his Pro Football Focus grades are great. Now, I give this caveat every time I talk about Pro Football Focus, but I feel like I need to because a lot of you are listening and roll your eyes when I say that. It's not the end-all, be-all, but they do watch tape, and more often than not, as I've gotten into doing the Pro Football Focus grades every Sunday after the games for LouisianaSports.net, they generally reflect what we saw in the game. It's not like I look at the grades and I'm like, where the heck did they come up with that? It usually is in pretty well lockstep with what we felt when we were watching the game. And Gooden's grades are really good. He had a high grade over 70 against Alabama last year. And he's undersized, as I mentioned. He's 268 pounds, 275 pounds. And he's quick and he's active. And he and Breaux are that kind of defensive tackle. And then you got McKinley, who can really be anything. He can be a space eater. He can be a playmaker. He's got the size, speed, and quickness combination to be a lot of different things if he blossoms. And I think that's the main rotation that you're going to play. Sean Washington had some depth as a redshirt junior. Then you got the 3 freshmen. But to me, these are the guys that have got to play. It's got to be Breaux. It's got to be McKinley. It's got to be Guillory. It's got to be Mitchell. It's got to be Gooden. Those 5 have got to be in there, and they've got to be impactful. LSU's best defenses have had great defensive tackle play. Going back to Chad Lavallee and Kyle Williams, of course, Glenn Dorsey, obviously. My guy Drake Nevis was awesome. And then you go to the more recent teams. Michael Brockers, Benny Logan was on with the morning show guys today. Even a couple of years ago, in 2019, no, Tyler Shelvin didn't make it in the NFL as a star. He was a problem for teams in 2019 with his size and his quickness. He was massive, and he could be disruptive as well. He played well on that 2019 team. So they haven't had that level of play at defensive tackle. You had a couple of guys in Mekhi Wingo and Mason Smith who were NFL draft picks and who have made rosters, and you would love to have them last year as opposed to them going to the NFL draft early. But you didn't have any depth behind them 2 years ago, and then the guys you played last year just were not all league type players. And somehow, some way, LSU's going to have to cultivate that. Now, it hurts when you've got a different position coach every single year with them. When you come in with Jamar Cain, and then you hire Jimmy Lindsey, and he gets sick, so Bob Diaco comes in to try to do it, and he's kind of out of place there, so you hire Pete Jenkins, and then you go get Bo Davis, and he moves on to the Saints, and you hire Kyle Williams. And that kind of instability just makes things really difficult in any position group. Not having the same 2 eyes and one voice in front of your meeting room ever for the course of 13, 14 months really hurts. But hopefully Kyle Williams puts an end to that. And you know that Kyle Williams has a style that he prefers. And he has said this. You've heard this from Blake Baker. You've heard this from some of the players. LSU under Kyle Williams, and Blake Baker echoes this, doesn't want its defensive linemen to stand up and hold offensive linemen. That's not the way Kyle Williams wants to play. He wants to be disruptive. He wants to shoot gaps. He wants to get into the backfield. And so to me, that fits Breaux and Gooden and McKinley a lot. Now, you need the big space filler at times. And you need that against the run, and Guillory and Mitchell look to be that dude. But I'm just curious how that rotation looks. I don't have a great feel for this. I'm not one of those guys that is going to get up here in July and even early in August and tell you exactly what the depth chart is going to be and bang my fist and go, this is the guy. I'm perfectly comfortable sitting here and going, there are 5 guys I think are going to play. You could pick any 2 of them to start, and I'm not really sure what it'll look like. I'm not really sure. But it's something we should get a pretty good feel for pretty early in camp. Because what's been the theme with me going through this depth chart and talking about what camp's going to look like? I believe that this coaching staff, in an effort to be more prepared for week 1 than they have been, want to settle on a reasonable starting lineup pretty quickly in camp and get those guys to work together for more than just a week and a half. Don't let these position battles drag out for 3.5 weeks. They go 8 practices. You know what's going on. Let's get our guys ready to go. That's what I think this team is trying to do, and I don't know which of these tackles is most likely to emerge from that group. But it'll be an interesting competition to watch. And without question, the play of LSU at defensive tackle will have a huge impact on what this LSU defense is. I think they're excellent at linebacker, and I think they've brought in enough talent at defensive end and corner to be much improved. Tackle is a wild card. If you told me Ahmad Breaux was second team All-SEC this year, I would believe it. If you told me he got beat out and was the fourth team, the fourth guy on this list, I would believe that too. Same with Don McKinley. There's a lot of variance in what these guys could be. And their development, especially in August, getting ready for Clemson, is going to be massive. So if you'd like to read a little bit more in-depth in terms of statistics and some of those things, you can check out the in-depth chart series at louisianasports.net. If you were out last week and you're just kind of getting back in, from vacation and kind of easing back in and want to get into football, if you go to our LSU tab on LouisianaSports.net, you go to teams and you go to LSU, every single in-depth chart piece that I've done is up there. I did center, I did guard, I did tackle, tight end, wide receiver, running back, quarterback. It's all been done, and then now defensive tackle's up there. You can read as much as you'd like about the LSU football team over at LouisianaSports.net. Appreciate y'all for checking that out. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.